Welcome to the Level Up Artist Podcast. We're your hosts, Adriana and May, and
Jackie Sanders. We're two art professionals sharing forward the advice and business lessons we have learned along our creative journeys.
We talk to artists, leaders, and art professionals to demystify the creative process and discover new ways to succeed as a career-minded artist.
If you find value in these conversations, please go ahead and subscribe. This will help other creatives like you find our podcast, and you'll be notified when we drop a new episode every Tuesday.
So on today's podcast episode, we're excited to share some awesome updates to the Level Up Artist Podcast and community. So Jackie, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we are so excited because we have been talking a lot recently. We're coming up on our 100th episode, which is pretty crazy. Coming up on our 2-year podcast anniversary in May, because back in May 2021, we really started this podcast with the goal of wanting to document all these candid conversations we were having with each other and other talented artists in our studios, as well as share forward that advice and business lessons we've learned from all of these valuable conversations. And so wanting to build a community online, wanting to find connections with other artists and be that platform that other artists can find refuge in, plus also recognizing and acknowledging and talking about redefining success by hearing inspiring stories of other contemporary artists that were doing it right now, working alongside each other, of what it truly means to be an artist professional, because we found both as artists in the area and, of course, just in the common conversation now, it's something that isn't always talked about, but it's so important in the creative journey.
Yeah, it is. And some of the conversations that we had are just, I don't know, they just open your mind, because you'll have an artist that says, well, here's how I make a living, right? I do this job and then this gig. And then this other thing is how I do the passive side of things, and I make it work. Some of them do teaching or prints or products, or it's just a unique combination. And in talking to them, it's so inspiring. There's some of them that have 5 kids and do art and sell things and do a job and teach. And the way that they're able to balance it, it's so inspiring. And then it also helps us figure out, okay, I never thought that was a path for me. And then, of course, we hope for our listeners, that's the same way. You don't have to go through a gallery. You don't have to just sell online. You don't have to do it XYZ. However, you may have heard it's quote unquote prescribed, because there is no one path, quote unquote, right way to do it. So it's been inspiring, especially as we're getting closer to episode 100 with no signs of stopping. After all, we promised we would at least do 100. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least 100 more after that.
Oh yeah.
We just keep talking about different ways in which we can dive deeper into the conversations with our guests and with each other.
Exactly. And especially hearing the feedback from you guys, from our listeners who give us feedback on Instagram and our DMs, or make comments on the post about their favorite, almost mic drop moment from guests that they've heard. Really hearing how some of these things, whether you've heard that advice before or not, it's all about hearing it at the right time for your creative journey. Mm-hmm. And that's been one of the most rewarding things, is hearing those takeaway nuggets that you guys have had about each of our episodes, whether we're talking together or having a guest on. Hearing that feedback has been probably one of the most rewarding parts of our doing the podcast the past 2 years.
Yeah, it is. And then on top of that, besides those nuggets that we're getting as feedback, also when we're finishing an episode, an interview, oftentimes our conversation continues and there's even more wisdom that our guests share with us, or resources. And so we've been thinking, how can we bring to you some of those off the record conversations? And thus, where we are with this, and part of what we're doing this episode is we've decided to share with you bonus podcast content in order to get those conversations over to you as well.
Yes, which we are so excited about, because as you guys know, as listeners of our podcast, we are super big into sharing forward the advice and business lessons we have learned along our journey, and the lessons that we've learned from other creatives, including the guests on the podcast. And so every week we are going to be releasing new episodes, not only on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube, But now we are also going to be including it on an online portal, which you have the opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. If you on over to levelupartisthub.com, you'll be able to see that we now have 2 community tiers for those who want a little bit of extra content other than the normal lovely episodes that we release every week. So now there's the option to look at podcast bonus content, to listen and for watch, as well as the Level Up Artist business community, which if you've heard our podcast for some time now, that's another element we've been working on for a long time. So as it relates to the podcast bonus content, as we mentioned, this was created because with our amazing guests, they just continue sharing so much value and wisdom. And for specific topics, we wanted to dive a little bit deeper with them. And this is the kind of thing where if you are a creative or art lover who wants, access to some of those off the record conversations with their guests, and then on top of that, you want to enjoy an online community platform where you can connect with other career-minded artists, although it is not a prerequisite for you to be an artist. You can just be an art lover, of course. And on top of that, you want to help us by supporting the podcast to keep it going, then you're really going to love the podcast bonus content, which again also gives you access to a community. And all we ask is $1 per episode, so just $4 a month. And that will help us keep going and maybe get to another 100, 200, 300 episodes. Who knows?
Exactly. And that will really serve as that foundation support for the podcast, for Level Up Artists and everything that we do, because we absolutely love being able to do these free episodes streaming on all platforms for all of the artists in our immediate and extended community. But being able to provide that bonus content will really serve as that foundation to make sure we'll be keeping the podcast going. Plus, if you are looking for support on your creative journey, a little bit more structure, more resources, then we also have the bonus community, which we've had our online community for Level Up Artists for a while. And this really serves as that business support. So if you're an artist who wants a community that shares forward the advice and business lessons they have learned along their journey in real time, if you want support and accountability, we have weekly live calls with our fellow community members, which have been incredible for bringing that support and structure to each of our businesses. Because as creatives, we know sometimes you can feel a little bit isolated as solo entrepreneurs. You really just have questions that even other business owners may not understand. It really is a unique industry and a unique mindset that you need to be in. So having that community to connect with is monumental for all of our Level Up Artist members and something we each look forward to every week. You'll also get structure and guides with course modules that cover everything from social media and technology to sustainable studio practices and PDFs, templates, business system, everything that's already created for you that really will save you a lot of time on your creative journey. We've done the big deep dive, the big scavenging, all of the resources and wanting to really bring, hey, we've done the hours and hours of research on what works. What's the best way to organize this? What's the best way to lay out that? What are the answers to these questions? And so rather than you having to do the hours of research yourself, we put it all together and hopefully will save you lots of time, but at the very least, a little bit of time on your creative journey. So if these are things that you are looking for in your creative business, then our business community is perfect for you. And it's only $25 a month. Plus, it includes all of the bonus content from our podcast guests, and you will have immediate access to all of the course modules. So for $25 a month, you can get in there, start attacking your business, and start leveling up.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the highlights in there, I mean, it's just so much fun because as we talk to other artists, they're like, I don't have time to figure out a spreadsheet for this or a database for that or a checklist for my website. And it's like, that's the kind of the stuff that we've already done, gone down those rabbit holes for you and then synthesized them, gotten feedback, put it all together, and it's just ready to go. But anyways, without further ado, in order to find out more, please visit levelupartisthub.com for more information and to sign up. If you have any questions, feel free to DM us. I'm at AmayArt across all platforms.
And I am at J Sanders Studio on all platforms. Or you can DM the podcast on Instagram, which is run by both of us, which is at Level Up Artists. We are so excited to stay connected with you all, dive deeper into these creative topics, and level up our year together on the Level Up Artists podcast and community. We'll talk to you next week.